Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. That's what I like to hear.
Hallelujah for this day.
Hallelujah. Yes. We're not that kind of church, but we're that kind of church.
I am so. I am that.
We are all that and so much more. So, should I?
Take this in here.
Ta-da! I love to do that.
I gotta move this. I can't see.
Yeah, you're blocking your own way. You're stepping on your own air hose, and you don't even know it. You ever do that? You know, you wonder what happened, and then you look back and it was you, and you're like, oh. I won't complain so much anymore about what happened because it was me. Well, that's called making an immediate amends, right? I'm so sorry, self. Well, our talk this month is on spiritual creativity. I mean, they go together, spirit and creativity. That's all spirit does, is create. It can never be turned off. It never goes silent, although it is the silence itself. It is always happening. Even when you sleep, your body is processing. You go into dream state, and your body continues to process food and to heal you and to take you into realms we don't even talk about, because we couldn't even figure it out if we could. It was like, I went to this place, I don't even know. Well, creativity is the vehicle by which we achieve much in life. We're often creative when we resolve business negotiations, when we solve problems, and when somehow we organize a group of friends to meet all together on the same night. Right. You know how creative that can be. It's, no, I'm not good on that day. No, how about the afternoon? No, she's not good on that day. You know, getting more than 3 people to agree on a date and a time could be a creative process that takes all day, you know. So what exactly is creativity? And creativity can be defined as the discovery of new meaning, of a new context of thinking. It's discovering new avenues, new ways to express. Creativity usually finds expression through a challenge. We have a challenge and we need to meet that challenge, so we go in and we get creative. That's what, I mean, most things, if you look around your home, you know, the ladder, we weren't tall enough, so we created something to step on, so we wouldn't have to drag blocks out, you know, and step on them. We have ladders now. We have, you know, just the light bulb, you know, something, electricity, something we take for granted all the time. So we have this thing in this called the creative process. And it is signified by this little emblem. And I always like to describe it, because, you know, yesterday at the service, I had a couple of people come up and go, "What's the V for?" I was like, "Well, that's for Van Meter." That's right, VM, right? Or, no, that's for victory. Well, no, it's not. So I'm going to explain the creative process. So when you hear the creative process, think of this symbol. Now, Dr. Ernest created this symbol when he wrote the Science of Mind textbook back in the 20s, and it was published in the 30s, I believe. But this is in the back of the Science of Mind textbook. Let's see if I can find it here. It's in page 5. There it is. See in the back here? There it is. The circle indicates everything that is. It represents everything. There's nothing outside the circle. This is the universe and all universes. This is the planes of existence. This is your conscious mind and your unconscious mind. Then he took and he put 2 lines through it. The 2 lines creates the triune nature, or in the Christian tradition, it would be the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. The Father is the top. The Son is the result of the Father, which is in the bottom. And the middle is my favorite. The Holy Spirit. But as a kid, spirits always freak me out, so I call it the spirit of wholeness, because that makes more sense to me. This is the soil, or the soul. So if you plant a seed, you have a seed idea, you put it into prayer, you put a seed into the ground, and it becomes something in the manifest universe. That's how it works. And what does it do? It constantly recycles itself. That's why there's a little hook on that side, because it's always going like this, recycling itself back into itself. Isn't that cool? And we're doing this all the time, if you know you're doing it or not. As simple as getting a cup of coffee. Your body says, I need coffee, right? Depending what you did last night. Some mornings are better than others, right? So you have this desire to have a cup of coffee. So you think, where would I get this thing called a cup of coffee, And your creative genius starts praying about it. And you imagine, you can smell it, you can taste it, you're imagining what kind of creamer you're going to use if you use that sort of thing, or how you're going to sugar it up. And then somewhere you find coffee. Either you create it in your house, or you go to a place where they're serving coffee. We serve coffee here. And you pour yourself a cup. And then you drink it. And it gets recycled. That's the universe. That's how it works. But we do this with everything that we do. Everything goes through this creative process, if you know you're using it or not. The beauty in creativity is that we know we're using it. And in this teaching, we use it in a way that makes sense. I know that the kids are in here today. Your imagination is so powerful. And, God bless the children, because they still have that connection to their creative genius. They haven't strayed far. They still believe, right? As we get older, we get jaded. Oh, well, I have to work and make a living and do this and that. And you're not as creative because, we're taught that you got to go out and fight for what you want. You've got to work hard. What are you, goofing off? Goofing off is the creative genius. I was always the kid that was looking out the window when I was supposed to be learning, and it was always, Steve, we're in here. I'm like, I am so out there. I am out there in the clouds and the ivy, and just, I was out there creating things in my mind, but they wanted me in here, creating things from the book. And I wasn't always a great book study, I'll tell you that, until I got into this teaching. So, how can we become more creative? All you have to do is desire it. Think about it. Just have a project, and it can be as easy as working in the yard, or changing the oil in your car, or anything that you do. Call in the spiritual energy before you do something. Say a little prayer. Just go, you know what? I know that the wisdom that created me is the wisdom that creates everything through means of me. And watch what happens. Once you introduce the power of whatever you believe creation is, it takes off. It won't come in without your invitation. You have to invite it in. If it could come in without our invitation, none of us would be here, because we'd all just be automatically perfect. And we are. In our imperfection. We are all perfect in our imperfection, aren't we? So, it's time to go for it. You didn't come to this plane of existence to just shuffle along and kind of get by and get through it. Although there are times that we do that, because through the dirt and the dust of the road gets long, doesn't it? Sometimes feel like I'm working for the weekend. If I can get till Friday, I'll be okay. But when we introduce principles, every day is Friday. Because you don't work anymore. You don't work. Now, this doesn't mean that you don't effort to do something. But you're no longer working out of your own impulse, your own power that is only so big. Once you attach to the creative genius that you are, once you start to know that it's from that place of source energy, God energy, Great Spirit, Goddess energy, whatever you want to call it for yourself, that's your business. But we can all believe that there is something going on. Once we call that in, it says, okay, here we go. Here we go together. And when we go together as that power in form, watch out. This is how Post-its were made. Really, this is how combustion engine was created. This is how the beauty of the rose unfurls itself, right? It's that same creative genius. So I've come up with a couple things that I want to give you to put in your tool belt to be able to express your creativity. And some of them may not work for everybody, but in the few that I have, there's something that will work for everybody. So there is a sense of expanded time that when you start being creative, have you ever done this? Get online and you're looking for something, you're Googling something, you're surfing, you have a reason that you're doing it because you're trying to solve, how do I get the lime stain out of my coffee maker or whatever it is. It's all about coffee this morning. But you have a challenge and you start Googling, and we are so powerful that we have this thing at our fingertips because there's a lot of challenging stuff out there, and there's a lot of, but if you look hard enough, you'll find the answer to your question, because it's always in here, it's not out there, but sometimes we have to go out there to find it within ourselves. There's an expanded time where all of a sudden we realize that 4 or 5 hours has gone by and it felt like 10 minutes. You ever had that? And you're like, oh, how did it get to be 3 in the morning? All I did was turn on my computer. Or I was going to go, change the oil in my car, or whatever it was. And all of a sudden it took as long as it took. It didn't matter what time it was, how many days had gone by, if I had eaten, I wasn't even hungry, because you were being fueled by the creative genius of doing something. This offers you a place of freedom where nothing matters. The only thing that matters is that you get that, whatever you're doing, done, right? You have this freedom. Artists, when artists go to paint something, they don't have like a paint by number thing. I mean, some do, but usually you have a blank canvas. That's a freedom. Maybe your blank canvas is the yard, but you have the freedom to create whatever you choose. And each one of us is going to have something different. If we all had the same thing, it would be a pretty beige world. But it's not. This will enhance your relationships. When you start being creative, all of a sudden there's this crossover that happens. And you start attracting a certain energetic into your life when you start being creative with what you are put here to do. It can be no other way. You automatically attract others who are interested in the same thing. I mean, we're all here today because we believe that there is a power, and that by opening our consciousness, we understand that we are part of that power. You start living in integrity. You know what that is? Living on purpose. You're not just You know, I used to be in reaction mode to life. I was a pinball in the pinball machine. Ding, 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 oh, go over there, bang, over there. Oh, there's a fire over there, I got to put out, bang, bang. It can be an way to live, but it's not as creative as choosing where you want to spend your time and energy. Choose what you choose to do. Become what you choose to love in your life. It actually helps you to save money. When you're creative, expressing your creativity control your urge to impulse buy. Absolutely. I'm not out there shopping when I'm creating, right? Now, unless I happen to go over to the Wayfair website or something like that, and all of a sudden I'm creating through a creative genius that knows, wants my credit card number. Right? But that's a way to create too. That's impulse buying right online. You can actually take a moment in your creative genius and just click over to another site and start wondering, what CD, what CD you want to listen to. I know CDs are going away. When I heard that they were stopping making cars with CD players, I was like, oh man, I am way behind the line here. I am listening to vinyl here, Where's my 8-track? Click, click. Right in the middle of a song, you get this click, click where it clicks over. I remember that. You start getting a lighter quality to your life when you're becoming creatively expressive. Because since you're doing something, you don't have that excess energy of not knowing why you're here and what you're supposed to be doing. There used to be with me this angst because I didn't know why I was here. And I was always trying to find what that was. And if you have that, let me put you at ease here. You're doing it. Whatever it is, even if you're trying to find it, that's something. You're doing it. God doesn't make any extra parts. Every part is a necessity. You have a purpose and a point. You wouldn't have been created if you were an extra part. You would have burned off of this coil long ago. But all of us have purpose. Now, we may not know what that is, and part of your purpose then is to find what your purpose is, which is a great purpose. Because once you find what you think your purpose is, a new purpose is presented to you that you think you're here to do. You're always recreating yourself. Every day I wake up and go, why am I here? Oh yeah, I'm here to have fun. I'm here to have a good time. It's good to have a connection with other creative people. We need each other. If you were to look at making a sandwich and how many people it took to make a sandwich. Have you ever done this? You're like, okay, somebody had to grow the grain, somebody had to mill the grain into flour, right? And then it had to be combined with all these other things and baked somewhere. And then somebody had to create the slicer, right? Who created the bread slicer? That's a good one. And then somebody had to bag it. Well, somebody had to create plastic to bag it. And then it had to go, it had to be somehow sold and then driven to a store to be put on a shelf. Well, somebody had to create the shelf and the truck. I mean, how many pieces did it put the truck together just to get the bread to, you see where I'm going here. You see where I'm going. We need each other. You hold the bolt. Somebody created the bolt. Now, I'm not talking about the nut behind the steering wheel. That would be me. But do you see, just to make a sandwich, and we're not even to the peanut butter part yet. I mean, it is incredible. The mind map that you would have to draw to make just one sandwich would be so big it would fill this room. But somehow, we do it every day. So, give thanks for the creative genius that flows through the other people that have the missing part of your puzzle. Faith and confidence in our impulses. You know, we are being sent messages all the time from the universe. But we are too busy broadcasting that we don't have a receiving station turned on. We're out there, I'm going to find what I'm looking for. I'm going to find it. And you're stepping right over what you're looking for. I'm going to find it out there somewhere. And you're stepping on your own air hose, right? So we need to take a step back. This is what meditation is about. This is what it is about. If we are what we are looking for, stop. Just stop for a second and say a prayer. It just takes a second to go, you know what? This too is good. This too is God. And I demand to see the blessing in this right now. And watch what happens. But see, we're so busy trying to look that we don't even know that the keys that we're looking for are in our own pocket in the pants we took off yesterday. That's where we usually find. That's where I find mine. I'm tearing up the house, and they're in the laundry. I was so good at putting my stuff in the laundry that I forgot to take my keys out. And once I slowed down long enough to think, okay, and do this. Whenever you lose something, become the energy of the thing you're looking for. Go, okay, I'm my keys right now. Where am I? I'm in my pocket waiting to be washed. I don't want to wash my keys. Wait a second. But do you see how slowing down can do that for us? But we are so wired to move that we just jump right over our own demonstration. So take a moment. Take a moment. Honoring the source of all creation is a really powerful thing. You know, I may not know what the answer is, but I know that the source that created all that is does know. And when you hook into that energy, you may not find exactly what you've been looking for, but you will be given a clue. You will be in the consciousness of connection. Once you put yourself in the consciousness of connection, it's just like, and the musicians here know what I'm talking about. If you ever sit still long enough with your instrument in your hand, music will come out. Music will come out some way or the other. And you may play somebody else's music, you may create something of your own making, but you need to be available for it. If we don't have the instrument in our hands, we can't pull from the universe. It can't come through us. So get yourself your crayons and just start coloring. Something will come through. Honor yourself for your discoveries. You know, when you create the next genius thing, honor yourself, you know, pat yourself on the back a little. It's okay. You are part of the creative wisdom of the universe. And, you know, I was so into being hard on myself for some silly mistake I had made that I was in reprimand mode. And for some reason, my consciousness defaults to reprimand mode. It used to. I've redesigned myself to be in blessing mode. There's times that I don't spontaneously reward myself, but I'm better than I was. I'm not better than anybody in this room, but I'm better than I was yesterday. And that's all that we need to be, is better than we were yesterday, a little bit. Some days are better than others. Some days you win. Some days you lose. Some days get rained out. But you show up. You suit up and you show up so that the creative genius can work through you. If you don't, it will find you. Trust me, I have ran and I have hid and put my light under a bushel, and something does happen. Something does find you. So in conclusion, expand your sense of time. Feel free within your creative expression. It'll enhance your relationships, not just to other people, but your relationship to yourself. Live in integrity. When you make a mistake, make amends right away. Don't wait. It just gets harder as time goes on, I'll tell you. If you break it, fix it. Leave it cleaner than you found it. And this will save you money. So that when you go to recreate something again, it'll all be ready, be clean and waiting for you. You know, this was always part of my creative process, was I left enough time to clean my tools afterwards. Because if you don't, and you have that creative genius come upon you, and you have to stop and clean your tools, you may lose it. You may lose that moment. So always have part of your creative genius be that part of your creation is cleaning up. Clean your room, as my mom would say. Clean your room, or I'm going to get in there with a shovel. And she did, boy. She scared me. You will find you have more energy and a higher quality of life when you are always in the creative flow. Use this symbol. Use it. It is who and what we are. You're using it anyway. You're going to use it. You might as well consciously use it in a way that allows you to constantly be going like this. And when something is done and it's ready to be recycled, put it in the recyclable bin. Gift it to someone else who can use it. You know, I hung on to clothes that I knew I would never wear again because they fit so good back then. Or I know, you know, when we go shopping, we don't shop for clothes that are bigger or smaller. I mean, I used to, you know, oh, I'd be great in that. No, you buy clothes that fit you now. I know it's a bizarre thing to have to say, but when you go shopping for clothes, shop for clothes that fit you now. Oh, that would look so great on me if I lost 45 pounds. Well, buy the size you fit in now, right? Or get the stuff that's sitting in your closet, gift it. Let it go, because that's the only way you can open the universe to flow, is to let go of what no longer serves you. This is how recycling works in the universe. But be aware that when you go to look for that thing that you need so desperately, you recycled it, okay? And thank God, the universe has gifted you with enough conscious genius and abundance that you can go out and buy a new one if you need it. I was always holding on. You know, I had a garage full of stuff that I thought that someday I was going to need. It got to the point that I couldn't even get into the garage because I had all this stuff that, well, I could use that little bit somewhere. No, you're not. It's just going to go into the heap of recycled stuff. But if I don't get it into the universe to be recycled, it's going to be part of my collection. It's going to be part of my hoarding system. And there is no system to hoarding, okay? Let it go, man. Let it go. And what that does is it creates a vacuum where new stuff can be created in your life, okay? Honor the source of your creative ideas. When they come through, give thanks. Thank you, God. Thank you, genius, for gifting me with all that I will ever need to sustain me. Give thanks in advance and watch what happens. That's like tithing forward, you know? Tithe on what you want to make, not what you're making right now, and watch the windows of heaven open to you. And remember that self-knowledge is discovery. We're all just doing the best we can. We're gonna make mistakes. You know, I was a perfectionist, and I had some challenges. I didn't want to make a mistake. And I didn't live very big because I was so afraid of doing it wrong. But that's the only way we can know if we're doing it right. You're gonna do it wrong a couple times. Hopefully you don't cut off a finger. Hopefully you don't dissolve a lifelong relationship because of your own stubbornness. Somehow, when we call in the universe to assist us, a way is made for our forward progress. So I leave you with this. You are a genius. I know you. You can hide God, but I know where you are at. You're right there, sitting in that chair, waiting for the next moment of discovery. Claim it, make it yours, and it is so. So it is. Thank you. Well, we're going to follow our teaching now. We're going to go within. We're going to connect with all that is. So I invite you to bring to your forefront of your consciousness, yeah, you can go ahead and bring the lights down a little bit, whatever you believe the power of creation is for you. But I think we can agree that there is something that is guiding the stars, causing the sun to shine and leafing the trees. It is every grain of sand on every beach, anywhere, everywhere. It is you, it is me, and it is everything in between. I just activate that power right now. I invite that awareness to be active in our consciousness. I say thank you in advance for the miraculous energy that is happening right now. I may not know what your situation is, but I know God knows. I know that God sends all the right cells to all the right places in our bodies that allows us to heal. Make connections in our lives to allow the right situations to become manifest in our universe so that we may have a healing or a revealing of truth, however that looks in the body of our affairs. But I know that right in the center, God is. So I speak a word of blessing upon anyone, anywhere who has asked for prayer. I know that something wonderful is happening right here and right now. The creative energy of the universe is active, and right now bringing the miraculous energy into us, as us. And a miracle is happening right now. How good it is to know that this is happening. So we take full advantage of that healing right here and right now and allow it as we take a step back to allow that energetic to become us. Thank you, divine infinite wisdom, for the healing and the revealing of this truth today. Our hearts overflow with the love of the universe, for we are now connected. We have always been connected, but we now acknowledge our connection. So we let go. We let go, placing these words directly into the living, loving law of mind, where I know that they are made manifest. So as we know this peace and this love and this healing together, we affirm it together by saying, and so it is. Amen.